Oh no. Oh no! People are gonna start thinking I'm a fake gamer. Hi, I'm Wes, the Explosion, this is the Backlog, and I attempted to play Shadow of the Colossus this week. And I just can't. This is supposed to be one of those perfect, legendary games that is universally beloved, right? But I just can't with this. You're a guy with a dead girl who wants some god to revive her, but first, they want you to kill a bunch of big guys before they'll do it. I killed 2 big guys and then quit on the third, though I really wanted out when I got to the first. I was really supposed to kill 16 of these things and like it? I just hate the controls. It feels like when I played Gang Beast once, where the controls are supposed to be wonky and kinda fight you the whole time, but here I'm expected to do complex climbs and maneuvers. It feels more like I'm a ragdoll on puppet strings as opposed to moving the actual character directly. And the horse controls like ass, but that's most horses in video games. Sure, I can kinda mostly control Epona, but still, most times I'd rather just walk. And the camera fighting and auto-turning to look at, I don't know, something completely unimportant 30 miles away for some reason really doesn't help when I'm trying to move in a particular direction. And the game is so slow. There's that opening cutscene that lasts 5 minutes, which I'm actually okay with, but then you need to track down the Colossus, raising your sword and getting a vague direction that you can find one in. Then you ride there, or walk there, or climb there. Then you find the Colossus you're after and have to pinpoint its weaknesses, hit the secondary one to stagger it, then climb your way up, just holding tight when it thrashes to try and throw you, then make your way to the deadly weak point, then stab it several times, taking more time to hold tight in between when it struggles, then eventually kill it and you start over. And everything is so gray and dull and I don't care to look at it. I hate it, I'm done, I will not play it again. I remember when I played Ico, I didn't like the controls, but I struggled through. Here though, it just feels worse, or maybe it's about the same, they're just asking for more, which just exacerbates things. And from the clips I saw of The Last Guardian, it seems like the controls are still a struggle, and on top of that, getting your pets to do things is also frustrating. So I tried, I cleared one of the 3 games, but I shall try no longer. If you enjoy this sort of thing, cool, but I cannot. I will not. No, 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 no. And then, because I hate myself, I played a 3D Sonic game with middling reviews, Sonic Unleashed for the Wii. This is not that game though, since when I try to record my Wii with the Elgato, it does so in fuzzy black and white. Not sure how I got it to work the last time, but here's Sonic Forces for something to look at. In Sonic Unleashed, Dr. Eggman shoots the world with a dark purple laser that splits it into large chunks that float above the planet's core. Sonic tried to stop him, but when he did so, the Chaos Emeralds got turned into gray lumps and Sonic himself turned into the most controversial part of this game, the Werehog. He then sets out to put the world back together and is joined by Chip, a dog, a hamster, fairy thing with amnesia, and a penchant for chocolate, which is where his temporary name comes from. During the day, Sonic is his regular hedgehog self, running fast, jumping, boosting, and homing attack to the end goal. You can also drift, which I think is new, to slide around tough corners. During the night, you are the Werehog. You're much slower in this state, but have power and stretchy arms on your side. You use these skills to latch onto and scale some parts of the environment, as well as beat weird monsters that spawn out of the ground, to death. This feels very weird since there seems to be some input delay with this form in particular. You need to be so close to target and grab stuff, and as long as you hit the prompt in time, even if you fall out of range, your arms will stretch out and latch on, but it leads to some moments of panic when it feels like you missed your window. The combat isn't bad, it's just kinda simplistic and can be very repetitive, so it can be a bit annoying when you get to a lot of these sections at once. What's much more bothersome though are the tutorials. You start out with a series of very short missions where everything grinds to a halt to tell you how to do one single action with Sonic. Most of these are things that you can figure out just by pushing the buttons, especially if you've ever played a Sonic game or really a video game in general. I don't need a full minute to learn that the A button lets me jump, then another one that tells me that pressing A again in the air near an enemy does a homing attack. Conversely, the instructions for the Werehog are much more vague, even though this was the new mechanic for the game. You start out being told to grab onto the yellow ledges without any indication as to how to do so. It turns out that you need to get close to the ledge, wait for the X button prompt to pop up, and then hit it. This seems intuitive in hindsight, but at the time I figured that I had to stand on the opposing ledge and press a button, so I stood there jamming every button I could before I started jumping around, trying to piece it together, eventually getting in the exact distance they wanted me to be for the button to pop up. These are also some of the few missions that have arbitrary time limits, so this led me to having to try the damn tutorial a second time and sitting through the action-stopping, vague text boxes again. This might have been another example of a game that would have been better with an instruction booklet. There are other optional instructional missions that tell you about more of the moves for the Werehog that you might not know about otherwise, really making me wonder why they spent so much time telling you every single little thing that Sonic, the character that has been largely the same for the past how many games, can do, but leaving you largely to seek out how to control his alter ego that seems to have been designed from scratch. And did I mention that every little explanation, some that happen in the main, not tutorial levels, are done by your traveling companion Chip, stopping everything to tell you with a text box that you can't skip? At one point in the stage, he literally stopped everything to tell me that a door was a door and that perhaps we should try opening it to proceed. What the frickin' hell? Do you really think that's the way forward? Really and for truly, Chip? A door? Combine that with his cute character quirk of offering every new character he meets a bar of chocolate, and I really hate Chip. When there are companion characters like him and Fee out there, I am truly perplexed that people have the nerve to mock my best friend Navi after all these years. She was helpful, typically only gave explanations when you asked for them, and only interrupted gameplay when it was something you were truly likely to miss without an explanation. Besides him, the user interface is also kinda weird. The story is pretty linear, but you still have the option to travel between continents and choose between exploring a town, choosing a mission, or going to the temple. Choosing the town will give you a selection of places to check out for dialogue with human characters that look like generic computer-animated children movie characters. Most of them aren't super interesting and normally only serve to move the plot forward, making me wonder why you weren't just automatically taken from one to the other to streamline things. Doing missions are pretty self-explanatory. You do the day and night stages as I described before. Worth noting is that rings work a bit differently. As the Werehog, they simply refill health. For regular Sonic, they still serve as a safety net, though you only lose so many with each hit, and gathering enough of them also fills your boost meter and can level him up in a stage to allow for longer boost sections. Collecting 100 will not give you an extra life, and you have 3 tries for each attempt at a level. If you get a game over, you have to navigate the world map and menu again to go back in. Completing missions not only advance the game, but also award you with medals based on performance that you can use to unlock extra optional missions, which I did not do. Going to the temple will allow you to choose between day, night, and boss missions, assuming you have them unlocked. It's really just easier to choose one from the world map, though. Speaking of the missions, it really seemed like some of them are just there to stretch the game out, which might also account for the whole talking to different characters thing as well. With the day level especially, they just reuse some stages multiple times for challenge missions. Reach the goal. Now get so many rings. Now do it under a certain time limit. All the same stage. I really wouldn't have minded it if these had been optional side challenges, but making the same thing 3 times just with a different win condition required can really make the game drag. The story is also kinda weird. Like I say, the game is pretty linear. I get the main story beats, the planet breaks apart, you get tablets to access different temples, you travel through them to get to an altar that will restore a Chaos Emerald and put a chunk of the world back together, rinse and repeat. The thing that's weird is just the course it takes. Sometimes you get half a tablet from completing missions, sometimes from talking to people. You have to talk to the right person to put the pieces back together and access more levels, but the order seems random, bouncing from one continent to another in no particular order. Or maybe it would have made more sense if I had paid more attention, but the dialogue and the way it's presented are so dull that I couldn't be bothered to follow along. I refuse to bore myself just because the game doesn't give its flavor text any, flavor. I think those are my main complaints, so now for a few compliments. Each of the 7 continents seems based off a part of our world and are varied enough to give their levels a very strong and unique setting. From a beautiful waterfront European city, a very stylized tranquil Asian setting, a snow-covered icescape, or a sand-filled, historic-looking Middle Eastern level. The music is also good, as is typical from a Sonic game. The day levels are appropriate, mirroring the setting and the faster pace of a regular Sonic gameplay. The night stages are jazzy, with a more subdued and almost sneaky feeling as you wander around, then switching to a much punchier and energetic theme as enemies pop up to take you on. The regular battle music might just be my favorite track in the game. And as much as people complain about it, I actually don't mind the Werehog that much. While it can be repetitive and really doesn't control the best, at the same time I do appreciate the novelty of it. Maybe it's my love of beat-em-ups or stretchy punches, but I actually give this a pass. If the time was taken to actually flesh it out and explain it better, it might have been able to go from one interesting one-off to an actual strong feature. Oh well, this will probably be the last time it shows up, so no use fretting over it. On Metacritic, the Wii version of this game in particular is sitting at about a 60, which I mostly agree with. It has a ton of issues, but overall, it's kind of fun and I didn't hate my time with it, so a passable but not astounding grade seems appropriate. I'd give it between a 60 and 70 personally. Or I would have until I got about 80, maybe 85% of the way through the game. At that point, the levels started getting longer and harder, they started having a lot more pratfalls, which were insta-death, the time trials got unreasonable, there were more hurry up and wait sections, and overall, they just became very unfun. The longer levels and easy deaths made me really feel the 3-try limit thing, plus I think making them too long kinda defeated the main point of Sonic games. All the places where you can fail also highlighted just how not fluid the Werehog is to control. His slowness also stands out when you're fighting waves and waves of enemies and you either have trouble chasing down faster enemies that stay just out of range before rushing in for one quick attack, or larger enemies with harder hitting attacks that you're just still probably not fast enough to dodge properly. Eventually I reached Eggman Land and I really should have put the game down. By that point though, I was so far along that I didn't want to give up, especially after how many games I had to do so this week and last. I almost pulled my hair out after playing the regular Sonic level, which takes 6 to 12 minutes to beat in a successful run, failing and failing over and over again before finally getting it right. Then I had to collect 200-something rings in the same level, which was pretty easy. Then I had to do the full level again as a time trial, which reminded me that there is absolutely no way Sega actually playtests any of their frickin' games. Seriously, this one stage, 3 times, probably took me hours to get through, and it was a relatively short game, so that's a significant chunk of my playtime. I had to put the game down for a day and tell myself that I would play for a half hour at a time and give up on it if I didn't clear it by week's end. Luckily, I did the last challenge within the time limit for my next play session, but it was really not worth it. The Werehog missions after it were a bit better, but with the way forward being unclear at times, as well as the stage being so dark that sometimes I would walk off edges that I didn't know were there, these were also pretty terrible. Then there was a boss fight that, while kinda protracted, wasn't terrible. Then I got to the final 3-stage boss. The first part was pretty much Punch-Out, which, while it took some getting used to, wasn't bad. The next involved just running with Sonic, which I failed once and I hated but was doable. The last was with Super Sonic, where you floated around, collecting rings, and then had to activate a boost to attack when you had just enough and a prompt came up. I figured I had to face an eye that I needed to target and boost when it was open, but this was not the case, as sometimes it would not activate, and other times it would even when the eye was closed. I have no idea. And when you lost all your lives, you had to start all over again, having to do the previous 2 stages again, even when you had it down, and it was just kind of a waste of time. I don't know how long this took me, but eventually I won by collecting an excess of rings to stay alive longer rather than just trying to rush piling on damage. Let me just say, I don't think I've ever seen a game shit-can its quality so hard in the last leg of a playthrough. I said before that I'd probably give this game between a 60 and 70, now I'd probably put it somewhere between 30 and 40. That's pretty much cutting my esteem for it in half. I have a hard time even fathoming how they could drop the ball this bad. I should not have finished this, and I regret my life choices. There are 6 more Sonic titles on my list, and I am terrified. I also did some streaming with a friend over on Victory Tricksters. We have 2 streams up. One is a random Smash Brothers stream that we just did to kind of test the equipment out while waiting for pizza. I do some squad smashes against level 9 because Brandon is too cowardly to face me in combat. After that, we did a full freaking playthrough of Sonic Forces for some damn reason. I don't know why, it's almost 4 hours long. I'll probably be doing some clips throughout the week, some of the best parts that I, found in those, but I haven't rewatched them, so I don't know how much is worth doing. Especially since I was very tired for both of them. I mostly remember, kind of making regular, just boring observations and then grunting when prompted. But look forward to them, I guess, and maybe check out the full streams if you're bored. Also, here's a bonus clip of me trying to get the audio levels right before we started recording. Okay, we're gonna test this again, and it's gonna... Oh, good. I'm at a disadvantage against fucking Metal Sonic. Metal fucking Metal Sonic. Metal motherfucker, metal. I don't know what I'm doing. Mostly just keeping audio going. Yeah, my free toe touch the ground, seeing the world coming upside down. Not crash down to the sound. I can feel your every rage. I need to try and fight this guy rather than try to run away. He's a stupid little metal boy. He's really fucking annoying. He's hated in Japan. No, wait, that is Min. We hate him here. Sonic Hero. Oh, he's dead. Oh, my oversized spiky boy head. I'm gonna shoot you. In the pelvic. No, in your entire torso. Oh my. That was a bit troubling. I enjoyed the streaming part, but as for the games I played personally, my gosh, I did not have much fun, did I? I need to play a good game, or maybe I should say one that I'll enjoy because I'm getting to that point of questioning why I play video games again. Someone, please help me. Which of the ones left will gel with me? I need something. Gonna think on this one for a bit, and hopefully next episode I have just happily sparkly smiles to give you on what I've been playing. For now though, thanks for watching, maybe subscribe if you enjoy this sort of thing, and I promise I'll try to be more positive next week.